The SCOTUS, which don't forget, has a conservative supermajority, which means that they can produce decisions like the one we're about to discuss. They have decided that Alabama can continue to use in this upcoming election a gerrymandered congressional map that, what do you know, minimizes the electoral power of black voters in Alabama. So understand that Alabama has 7 congressional districts, okay? Not a lot, but 7. Its voting age population is about 27% black. In the map that the SCOTUS is allowing to continue to be used, black voters are in a majority in 1 district of the 7. And I'm not great at math, I'm not an expert at fractions or anything, but that's underrepresented, which is exactly what we would expect. So anyway, they have blocked the creation of what could have been a second majority black congressional district in Alabama for the 2022 election. This is one of the decisions of their so-called shadow docket, which is effectively, they use an emergency order that weighs in on something that has to be decided right now. And conveniently, that means that we don't have to have oral arguments. We don't have to really defend this. It just happens super fast. And so that's gonna happen. This is the SCOTUS weighing in with the shadow docket is the result of a 3-judge federal court panel at the appeals level challenging this that might have required the creation of a second majority black district. But Francesca, that as of now is not gonna happen. It might happen before the next election after this one, but not now.
A second black district in Alabama? So this means there's only 1?
Yep, there's 1.
This is the site of Bloody Sunday. This is the Selma to Montgomery March. This is where Martin Luther King and so many other civil rights leaders put their bodies on the line. This is where we saw them brutalized and killed, however many dozens. And now, less than 100 years later, goodbye, we're done. I mean, honestly, I think that the Supreme Court thinks that once there's like a biopic about something, that immediately means the thing no longer matters. They're like, oh, they've got representation in Hollywood. That means we can take it away at the ballot box. I mean, it's so gross. And the saddest part about it to me is that, and I haven't been on since Biden said this, John, so we haven't had a moment to sort of hash it out, that Biden's best friends with Mitch McConnell, that Biden is just homies with him, that he just likes him and he's a good guy and he's an honorable man. And all these honorable men that we just need to meet halfway who are honorably stripping the voting rights of black Americans throughout this nation, and especially in the South, where legacies of Jim Crow and slavery and everything else have led to the laws that we currently have on the books. But no, gut those laws, and all these honorable men doing the honorable thing. What the hell? I mean, at least with Bernie Sanders, you go down fighting. And I don't mean to relitigate. I feel like I'm relitigating every time I'm on recently, but I'd rather go down fighting than go down saying that someone is an honorable man. My God, the Democrats, I swear to God.
He loves that broken down old crow. He just loves that old crow, in the words of Donald Trump. Yeah, and so look, again, this decision is not really surprising anyone, I guess, and it shouldn't, and you're gonna have a lot of time to get used to it if it does, because we ain't flipping the Supreme Court anytime soon. But yes, they can do this. At least though, while the map based on this gerrymander will be racist, at least that's the only thing that is stopping people in Alabama from exercising their full democratic rights. No, I'm kidding. I recently rewatched Infinity War and Endgame, and there's this scene where Doctor Strange wraps Thanos in a whole bunch of glowing lassos. Why does he do that? Well, because he has to. One isn't enough. But like, that's what they're doing here. It's like they've designed the districts to minimize the power of black voters, but also those black voters are gonna find it harder in a million different ways to register, to actually get out there, to have their vote be counted. There are gonna be all sorts of obstacles thrown up to make it as easy as possible to disqualify their votes in a bunch of different ways. Even if somehow they overcome all of those lassos, there's still the structural inequality of the Senate, which is going to magnify the power of rural white conservative voters.
Yep.
And even if they take it over, the Supreme Court can override any law that might be passed by some sort of actual progressive Congress anytime soon. There's just so many layers of it.
Yeah, I don't know what all that nerd stuff you just said was, but I just wanted to bring up the point that it's your birthday, you can have it. You know, it's so insidious when you also stop to think about the ways that redlining have also contributed to, disproportionately underrepresented districts, Black Americans unable to buy housing, get loans, move out of the neighborhoods that of course are perhaps the most toxic, perhaps the most in food deserts, that all kinds of things, perhaps the most crime, all of those different aspects and the ways that this country systemically keeps Black and brown people ghettoized, for lack of a better term. And then even if those folks are moving into, let's say, middle class, upper middle class neighborhoods, no. We will draw district lines around you so that your voting power, your school district, your taxes, they still remain. Like they are, you can never, and essentially it's enforced segregation continuing into the year 2022, right? It's like, oh no matter what inroads that you make, we will continue to roll those back politically, economically. This is what we're talking about when we talk about systemic racism. I mean, like, anyway, the right misunderstands racism so hard and on purpose because they've orchestrated it. They're behind it. They create it.
Yeah. Well, and let's of course identify that it is a combination of stupidity and lying. Yeah, they do actually have plenty of misunderstandings. They're incredibly willfully ignorant people, but they're also lying constantly. We're actually going to turn to that because I want to identify the two types of people that you should be angry about in this at the very least. So one is someone like Mo Brooks, congressman from Alabama, who says, I was gonna do a mocking impersonation, but I don't know for sure how he sounds, so I'm just gonna read it. These liberal activist judges have tried to segregate us based on race. I find that abominable. In order to elect people in certain parts of the state based on race, which I also think is abominable. We've got to put the skin pigmentation issue behind us. The concept that blacks can only be elected in black districts and whites should have districts of their own in which they get elected. I believe that is racist and I oppose it. I don't like racism. I just want to make sure that black voters never count for anything ever in this state. So look, he's obviously awful and there's an entire party of Mo Brookses. But let's also bear in mind, when you get told just how to organize it. No, screw you. They like people in Alabama, people in states across the country, young people, all sorts of people out-organized a whole bunch of different things in 2020. And I guess the reward they got, the prize they got was some more weights being put onto their shoulders. Yeah. Oh, you didn't think that the vote was suppressed enough before? Now it's just gonna be even worse in a number of different ways. And by the way, we could have, this issue at the Supreme Court might have been fixed if they had passed some sort of voting bill. But they're not doing that because again, that's another one of those obstacles. That's another golden lasso around Thanos's arm is there's always gonna be a mansion and there's always gonna be a cinema, and hell, if they left, then maybe Tester would stand up. There are so many obstacles. Doesn't mean you don't keep fighting because, pointless, non-political apathy or, just, jeering at the people trying to actually fix things from the sideline isn't gonna fix anything and it's not designed to. But it is unfortunate that we have so many constant obstacles in our way.
Yeah. No, last thought is you can't call Kirsten Sinema smart as the devil. I'm sorry. You can't do that. You just talked about people on the grassroots fighting, giving you the biggest turnout in an election in history. Yeah. Flipping the Senate seats in Georgia, and you turn around and congratulate the people who are stymieing your agenda, i.e. the agenda of democracy so that people can vote legally and freely, and you turn around and call those people smart, you call those people your friends. How do you expect anyone to come out and vote for you again? First of all, no one voted for you. No one's voting for Biden. They're voting so the boot will come off their neck. They're voting against fascism. But my God, if we don't take the action when we're actually in power, it's getting ever so hard to make the case time and time again that these fools have any idea what they're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. And we will still try to, because somebody might say, well, then what's the difference? It should have just been Trump. Okay, if you, again, as I always say, I'll say this again. If you would like to make the affirmative case for why fascism is better for progressives, feel free to do that. You don't seem eager to. You keep trying to imply it, the implication. But we are going to keep
John,
playing.
this is a step, like, once the Supreme Court is nothing but like the horsemen of the apocalypse, then the left will rise up, though, because we'll be so powerless, we'll have power.
Yeah. What if that strategy wasn't actually about accomplishing change? What if it was about making a bunch of money? What if that strategy is one of the golden lassos? What if that's one of the things making it harder for the progressives? What if that's by design? What if the right knows that and loves it?
Now we're getting to some JR experience. Here we go.